have a question to the respected panel. The issue of novelty that came up, does it fly if something is novel or novel to the area? Like it's something that has been done worldwide or studied, but has not been studied in the Gulf or the Middle East, or, you know, does that make it novel? Is that an argument for, you know, accepting it or whatever?
I think that's a very important issue, if I could start, and others might want to comment. It often is, and we're an international journal, we get a lot of submissions from the first time it's done in Iran, the first time it's done in Africa, the first time it's done in Taiwan, and sometimes it's relevant because of ethnic differences, but other times you feel that it's repetitive and that might be best done in a regional journal. So there's no simple answer to that.
That novelty sometimes would have a spin on it. For example, like let's say, you know, your population is a much younger population than what is reported, you know, in the world, or if whatever the risk is different or something. If there's nobody, can I ask another question?
As you wish.
I'm sorry?
I mean, you can define novel as you wish, and just hope the editors agree with you.
Sure. The issue of plagiarism, I actually came across this recently in one of my publications, where the editor pointed that out to us. It's a manuscript that was written by one of our residents, and there was just a pure good intention. He wrote the methodology part, and this was another study, a sub-study of the initial one. So he wrote the methodology, and it's the same methodology, but he actually wrote it, you know, letter to the letter, and that was pointed out, and it was actually a big issue with the editor because I got offended. But how do you feel when it's a methodology that has been already carried out, and you're reporting on the same study, but like a sub-study? And they called it self-plagiarism, so that's another.
Well, if the study comes from the same group and it relates to the same group of patients, and you refer to the original study,
yes.
The methodology has been described in detail before, and okay, you can give it completely or you give it in short, then it is acceptable.
The interesting part, and I guess this is one thing to be discussed here, is that the reference was mentioned. You know, it was mentioned that this has been, the methodology part has been described previously, and that was referenced.
Okay, but that's acceptable.
I thought the editor was a bit too sensitive. And after that sentence, part of that methodology was written, but when it was written, it was just written, you know, letter to the letter, that kind of stuff, and that offended the editor. But it was and actually what he said, or she said, is that the fact that you referenced it does not justify or does not cancel or remove the plagiarism issue.
Yeah, but if it's the same group and the same authors, then of course there should be no problem, because a methodology is a methodology.
Sure.
When it's perfect, then of course it can be used.
I'd just like to make one comment. I mean, certainly there are different types of plagiarism, and there's an element of plagiarism. The serious plagiarism is where there's an intention to deceive. So there is inadvertent plagiarism, and then unnecessary plagiarism and self-plagiarism, like you mentioned. But the element that should upset editors when there's an intention to deceive. So if this methodology was implying that this was a new methodology, that would be totally inappropriate.
But it was referenced, you know, it was referred to the article, and then it was mentioned. And the entire results is just a totally different paper, an absolutely. But I thought that was interesting, and I decided not to submit to that journal again.
Can I just say something? The intention is crucial.